What's up, everybody? It's your boy TGK back with another reaction video. Today we're going to react to GQ Sports, where they featured Mark Cuban, and the video titled, pretty interesting. Wanted to check it out as a Mavs fan. So let's see what the hell Mark Cuban talking about when it comes to winning a NBA title. But let's go and check it out. Again, if you're new here, consider subscribing, consider being a member, all that good stuff and more. Again, enough for the fluff. Let's get to the stuff. All right. So here is Mark Cuban. The video is titled Mark Cuban's Blueprint for Winning the NBA. I thought it said winning the NBA title. My fault. Winning the NBA. I figured it would have said winning in the NBA or winning an NBA title, but it doesn't say none of that. So let's check it out.
I told myself going in, I wasn't going to try to fit in. I was going to be myself. And if they liked me, great. If they didn't like me, great. If they wanted to force me out, great. I'm Mark Cuban, and I'm going to break down everything that goes into running an NBA team.
All right, so all right, if we could be non-Mark Cuban haters for a second. Growing up as a young fan of the Mavericks, I always appreciated Mark Cuban's mentality towards being an owner. He was obviously a big how would I say, a big draw to the NBA, but also like it was a different energy, a different energy. He was Steve Ballmer before Steve Ballmer. He was like what a lot of owners want to be like today. And Mark Cuban definitely broke barriers and broke ground as far as being an owner and going through all the things that he's done for the teams with the private jets and the video games in their locker rooms and so on and so forth, and then to eventually winning the championship in 2011. I just thought I always will look fondly upon Mark Cuban until Dirk's latter years and then Luka's initial years as a Dallas Maverick. And obviously the 2012 season where he didn't bring back the championship team. That is always going to be an issue. The Steve Nash part as well. There's always going to be issues. Jalen Brunson, things like that. So it'll always fall on Mark Cuban. But hey, he can say he was a champion as a NBA owner. So let's go ahead and get this started.
So I bought the Mavs January of 2000. It was $285 million. I had just sold my company for $5.7 billion in stock. So I thought, why not? I didn't buy it as an investment. I bought it because I'm a basketball junkie. Basketball was life. I played pickup then. I play pickup now as a season ticket holder.
I would love to play pickup basketball with Mark Cuban. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool to do. To play basketball, basically the greatest owner in Dallas Mavericks history. That'd be pretty cool. So Mark Cuban, if you're watching this, hit me up, bro. I would love to just hoop with you, chat it up. You don't even have to, none of this got to be content. I'll just go hoop I'll just go hoop, But anyway.
So I put my money where my mouth is, bought the team, and have had a blast ever since. But it was never because it was an investment, although it did turn out to be a pretty good one.
Yeah, it did. It did.
My first goal when I bought the Mavericks was to change the culture. When you go into an organization, whether it's a company or basketball, that has sucked for a decade plus, you can't just let things go on as they were. Yeah. I remember meeting with the players and asking them, what are the things that you would change? There was a guy by the name of Gary Trent, and he was like, Mark, we get into some towns after a game, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Have you ever tried to go get something to eat in Oakland, California at 3 in the morning? No disrespect to Oakland, doesn't matter what the city was, but the reality was the hotels we stayed at that time didn't have room service. They just got the cheapest price. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. And that really helped me set the tone. We upgraded immediately. So we stayed at nothing but the best hotels. We made sure they had not only room service, but healthy foods. We brought in nutritionists. Dirk Nowitzki used to say that he would eat chips and candy bars before a game. We gave him the opportunity to be healthy. But the other thing that I did that completely changed the NBA, when I bought the team, we had 4 coaches, head coach, an assistant coach, and 2 other coaches that did things like work with the guys to develop skills, rebound for them when they wanted to get shots up and those types of things. I realized that we were spending more money to train our office employees how to use Excel and Microsoft Word than we were on developing our players to improve their skills, despite the fact that we were paying those players hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars each.
Great point. Great point. If you paying, all right. So like the goal is winning, right? And if you're trying to develop your players, and majority of the money is going to people doing Excel and office work, that's a bit of a problem, right? That's a bit of a problem. So, but now him talking about how he brought nutritionists and set them up with better hotels and all that stuff. Again, you ask any NBA player that's ever played, or majority of them that's ever played for Mark Cuban or the Mavericks, or even visiting players, he always does some catering for the visiting players in Dallas. So they're always look fondly upon him. Like there's things that you cannot take away from Mark Cuban. These are the things you cannot take away from him, and this is always going to be a part of said legacy. And a lot of players are always going to look fondly on him, and it didn't help too much for free agency, though. Let's be honest.
I went out and found former Mavericks, Moreland Wiley, Greg Dreiling, and a long list, and said, we want to bring you in and give you each an individual player to work with. And it was up and running within weeks. It also changes the culture so that they understand that I'm ready to do whatever it takes to win.
That is pretty cool, though. That is really cool.
When I got to the NBA in 2000, they thought they were in the basketball business. Anything they did that wasn't considered old school, classic basketball was frowned upon. Back when David Stern, rest in peace, David, was the commissioner and Adam Silver was second in charge, I used to say NBA, nothing but attorneys, because that's how they thought. Just like a bunch of lawyers, they didn't really think as entrepreneurs. You always have to know as a business what business you're in. The NBA and all of professional sports is in the business of creating experiences.
Hold on, is it? Mark Cuban has the Mavericks logo on his on his cheek. I'm guessing it's one of those little sticker tattoos. That's funny. Oh, that's the Reunion Arena back there, I believe. Yeah, that's the Reunion Arena. For those that's watching this, if you are a Dallas Mavericks fan, have you ever, one, been to the Reunion Arena, and two, did you ever go to any Reunion Arena Mavericks games? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your stories, because I never got to go to a Mavericks game in the Reunion Arena. I missed that arena. It was a lot of fun going there. I remember I went there for SmackDown, and it featured Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H, and Rikishi and all that. But yeah, I never got to see a Mavs game there. But that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let me know if y'all have, though.
That are memorable forever. In professional sports are so unique because it's the one form of entertainment where that ball is in the air. You're down one. And if it goes in, you're screaming and yelling. If you miss, it's the worst feeling. That's so different than any other form of entertainment. And if your team is good enough and you win a championship, they throw a parade. Google has a good quarter. Ain't nobody throwing a parade. So the hardest part when I took over the Dallas Mavericks were the other owners. They hated me. The Board of Governors are the 30 owners of NBA franchises, and we each own a third of the NBA entity itself. And we get together 2 or 3 times a year to discuss everything that's going on from the business and basketball side of the league. All the other 28 teams sat in a room and started grilling me with questions. Grilling me. Are you going to be like Jerry Jones? What are your goals? Are you going to be George Steinbrenner, whoever? They wanted me to be like them. They wanted me to sit up in the suites and sign the checks. I literally remember walking into one of my first Board of Governors meetings and asking David afterwards, are we allowed to talk? And he's like, yeah, I want you to talk. I'm like, are you sure? Because it doesn't look like anybody else here is going to talk. He goes, no, Mark, that's one of the reasons you're here. You're a tech guy, you're a media guy. You understand things that these guys don't know. So I'm like, okay, you asked for it. Everybody else was in a suit and tie. I'm walking in jeans and a t-shirt, and they're all staring at me, and I didn't shut up for 24 years. I got fined a lot, but I didn't shut up.
He did get fined a lot. I forget the number, but I know his fines were in the millions as far as getting fined for lashing out at the refs, calling things out on the NBA. He was very critical of things as an owner, and that's why that's why I don't think he gets upset whenever, fans like myself or anybody on Twitter or Blue Sky, wherever you're at. I don't think he ever really takes anything. He does take things personal. He won't show it all the time, but he reads stuff. He sees your complaints, and sometimes he won't listen, sometimes he might, but I think he understands the perspective of a fan when they're upset, and they're going to voice their opinion just like he does when he's upset with how the refs officiated a game or what the NBA did here or whatever the case may be. He has his own opinion on sports for sure. You know what I'm saying?
David Stern was a visionary for sure. And he was smarter than me in a lot of ways. There would be rules like setting up our own website. No, you can't set up your own team website. You got to use NBA.com. I set up our own website. Because the thing with David is he had to deal with the other owners cursing him out, saying, why are you letting Cuban get away with this stuff? And so he had to take on that burden for me, and he did. He was a first-class guy, and despite our differences in what was finable and what should not be finable, he always had my best interest and the best interest of the NBA at heart.
That's dope.
Different owners have different goals. My mission was to win championships. I really didn't care about the rest. I didn't try to maximize revenue. In fact, at one point we had $2 tickets. Then they got scalped too much, but I always wanted to make things affordable. I didn't want it to be about anything but fans having fun in the arena and the Mavs winning championships. What's changed dramatically over the years is the valuation of teams. It went from individuals being able to buy them to then corporations buying them as the prices trickled up to getting to the point now where there are ownership groups that are buying teams because it's really difficult for any one person to afford them. When you represent an ownership group instead of just yourself, you're probably not going to be as vocal. You're probably going to be a little bit more conservative in how you spend money because your partners don't want to have capital calls where they have to write checks because the team lost money.
Yeah.
Because I remember my first 10 years,
before he says it, if I remember correctly, his first 10 years, I don't know if he profited much. And I think for the most part, for like a good chunk of his ownership, it was like half of it was like shared with another investor or whatever the case may be. I forget. But let's see what he says. I'm not sure, but I'm sure, but I'm not sure what he's going to say.
Never thought of the valuation of the team. It's changed dramatically.
Okay, never mind. I was off.
So in terms of my day-to-day responsibilities, when I first bought the team, I had a lot to learn. And so I was in there every single day, just absorbing everything that I could, trying to figure out the best ways to market, to sell tickets. I let the CEO of the business side just run the business side because I wasn't as focused on making money. I just wanted to make sure the tickets were sold. On the basketball side, I was always involved because that's where the real money came into play, the big money. I mean, I remember in 2001, we traded for Juwan Howard and he had a $21 million a year contract. That's a lot of money now. That was incredible amounts of money then.
Yeah, Juwan Howard was 21? 21 mil. No way. Oh, let me see. Juwan Howard. Let me see. Hold on. I'm just interested. Hold on. All right, so I pulled up Juwan Howard's like earnings like for his entire career. Check this out. So where we at? So we go to the Dallas Mavericks 2020. Man, I'm so off. 2001, 2002 Dallas Mavericks. The man was averaging 18 mil per year. The season after that was 20 mil with the Nuggets. Yeah, he had 2 stints with the Mavs. But dang, he was actually up there. That's wild. That is wild, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't know players were making that much at that time. I only imagine what Michael Jordan was making. Anyway, back to the video.
To be able to say yes to a trade, you have to know the insides and outs of the collective bargaining agreement, the impact on your ability to make future trades, your draft picks, your cap room. All these little nuanced details matter. And so early on, I had to spend time doing that. When you have a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a decade and was voted the worst professional sports franchise of the 90s, it's not what you would call a destination franchise.
No.
Players looked at it as a intermediary station, a stop before you went somewhere else. And that's really what I had to change. Fortunately, we're getting ready to open up a new arena, the American Airlines Center in 2001. I went and just completely changed the design of team locker rooms. I made it so that every locker had a PlayStation and a TV screens, headphones, stereos,
That's
whatever they
pretty
wanted
badass.
to put the locker
Hold on, go back.
design of team locker rooms. I made it so that every locker had a PlayStation.
This is probably back in Terry's was here at the time, so it's probably 2004, 2005. Well, that's ESPN 2K5 right there with Ben Wallace on the cover, on the screen in the middle there. You see a PlayStation 2 up top. Is that a DVD player up there and a surround sound system? That's funny. I wonder how much time Dirk actually played ESPN 2K5 in that little ass TV. Such a little TV back then. That's funny as hell. But yeah, players appreciated this. Players 1000% appreciated this a lot. Playing for the Mavericks. That's pretty cool. Look at the seats back then too. Those seats are not today's seats at all. But damn, look at all that hardware you needed to watch a movie, to watch a VHS, if y'all know what that is, to listen to music, all that stuff above the locker room. That's crazy. Then you got your PlayStation. That's pretty funny. That's hilarious.
Station and a TV screens, headphones, stereos, whatever they wanted to put, the locker was set. I also bought a plane, and we literally designed it so that Sean Bradley, who was 7'6", had enough leg room that he could lean back and fall asleep without crushing the person behind him. But that wasn't the fun part about the plane. The fun part about the plane was lying about it. Because what I decided to do was get together with all the guys and say, look, we're the only ones that are going to be on here. It's not like media or other people are coming on. I want everybody to tell everybody we have a weight room on the plane, that we have a movie room. And anything else you want to make up, I'm fine with. Just, embellish as widely as you can. And I can't tell you how many times players over the next 3 years, do you guys really have a weight room on the plane so you get a workout in? Yes, it's amazing. You got to check it out, but you have to play for the Mavs in order to see it.
Hey, it worked and it didn't work. It definitely didn't work, but that's funny. That's funny. As a Mavs fan, you got to appreciate that. You got to appreciate the idea, trying to think big, think next level, to try to acquire free agents. That's hilarious. Good job, Mark. I actually appreciate that.
General managers talk to each other, and they're throwing out trade deals all the time. It's almost like fantasy basketball. But then maybe something happens. Somebody gets hurt, or the style of the play, you get a new coach and the style of play changes. And all of a sudden it is, remember when you said you had interest in this player? Well, there might be an opportunity, and that's typically how it starts. When both teams get to the point where they have a need, they start discussing what the details of the trade will be. And then it also has to work within the constraints of the collective bargaining agreement. There are very literal and specific trade rules. If your salary for your team is above X amount, that means it's above the first apron. If it's above a larger amount, that means it's above the second apron. If you're above the second apron, then you cannot make a sign and trade. If you're above the first apron, you can't make a sign and trade, but you can trade your minimum players as part of a deal. There's all these little details that I don't want to bore you with, but you have to go through all that. And the league has evolved so that you have cap experts. You have people who literally are on staff because they learn the salary cap and the collective bargaining agreement in detail and look for every little angle that they can find.
And I do believe the Mavericks hired a cap expert. I think it was in Brooklyn or Utah, I forget. But the Mavericks do have one on hand, by the way.
Back in the day when I was doing it and there weren't those cap experts, oh my God, it was so much easier to fleece the team. And then once you agree to the deal, you have to call the league and do what's known as a trade call. The crazy part is you still aren't sure it's going to leak to the media. I mean, I literally have had trades where here's the trade call, and before the trade call's even hung up on, the word is out. And that's how a trade works.
Damn. That's crazy.
The Mavs are probably...
Back to the whole trade call thing, the fact that you do the trade and then it already leaks out, and then you hear how players are like, oh, I heard of me getting traded through social media. That's how it happens. Teams don't even get a chance to tell their players, hey, we're going to trade you, That's sad. That's how that works. But I'm pretty sure, like, Brian, what is it, Woj or Shams, they be on these calls and they be tweeting away, ready to send out alerts, and the owners and the teams can't even tell their players they traded them. It's pretty sad.
25 to 30% TV and broadcast, 20% of ticket sales, 30% sponsorships, and 25% merchandise and other. When I bought the Mavs, I immediately took the TV row seats, the seats where you're going to be seen on television, and jacked them up to $2,500. Across the period of time, I've had $2 seats, but they always got scalped. We had $10 seats up until about 5 years ago. But now to this day, we have at least 4,000 seats that are $29 or less. You always want to make it affordable relative to everything else. Season ticket holders are incredibly important. They obviously have the greatest commitment to your team, but from a financial perspective, they're your revenue base. They're the ones that you have your 10,000 or 12,000 or 14,000 tickets already sold, and also allows you to more easily set number of tickets you make available to the buying public. How does revenue share work? That's a good question. I'm not quite sure anymore because it keeps on changing. We'll see what happens now because of the new TV deal. Every time there's a new TV deal over the past 25 years, we always hope that teams don't lose money, but they still do because it's so competitive and you want to win so badly. Sometimes you're willing to pay that luxury tax and whatever other taxes and take the restrictions of the collective bargaining agreement. Your organization doesn't do a good job selling sponsorships or tickets, and you lose money. The NBA always benefited from a TV contract perspective from competition. Once things really took off in competition between TV networks like ESPN and TBS, that's when the numbers really started to get a whole lot bigger. And then fast forward to 2023 in particular, and you started to get interest from streaming companies, which created a really difficult situation for linear television because the best viewed events were sports. Linear television needed the NBA in particular because the NFL had already signed a big deal, and so that put the NBA in a great position to negotiate. To their credit, they put together a phenomenal $77 million 11-year deal is going to jack up revenues, not only for teams, but the way the collective bargaining agreement is organized.
Was it 77 billion or million? I don't want to verify. Let's continue.
Players get 51% of that revenue, and so they're going to come out.
Yeah, it had
really,
to be
really
billion.
Well.
Had to be billion.
So I sold a majority stake for a couple of reasons.
Oh, here
First
we go.
and foremost, I can talk tech, I can talk media, entertainment all day, every day. But the world is changing and revenue sources are changing dramatically for professional sports. And now it's become as much a real estate business with the arena that you have being the center point for the real estate that you're going to build around it. I just don't know real estate at all. And so I made sure I sold to somebody, the Dumont family, who runs the Sands, who knows that stuff cold. And just as important, in a social media world today, the critics of the ownership of any professional sports team can be brutal. I don't want my kids potentially feeling the pressure to walk into my spot as owner and have to deal with that.
Hey, that says a lot about him to not try to put his kids in that situation. I mean, obviously he could have grown them up and had them hip to what was going on, but also when you look at across the highway a couple of miles, at Jerry Jones, his entire family is involved with that team, and they have been garbage for the last 30 years. So sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. And maybe Mark Cuban saw how Jones ran his organization, and they were not any better with Jerry Jones and the family involved. So maybe he was like, I ain't trying to put my kids through that. So forget that.
When I bought the Mavs, it wasn't a financial investment. And honestly, selling it wasn't something I was excited to do, but I thought it was the right time to do. None of this was about economics. It was and is about matters of the heart.
Oh, do y'all buy that? Do y'all buy that it wasn't about economics? See, like, I don't want to say these things because then, like, I lose my chance to play pickup basketball with Mark Cuban. I'm just kidding. But no, I'd be lying if I was like, all right, you're going to give me $5 billion for my team? It definitely economics played a part. Mark, and I tend to believe Mark Cuban's a really good guy. I actually do. So I would say it probably it leaned a little more heart, but it was definitely economics, 1,000%. It's business. It's business. He's a shark in the Shark Tank. Like, he's not finna just, here's my team, fix it.
In terms of what's next, well, I'm still involved with the Mavs, so that's not gone. But really, where my focus has shifted, other than spending more time with my family, is costplusdrugs.com. I'm really on a mission to change healthcare in general, but the whole pharmacy industry, pharmaceutical industry specifically. We launched January 22nd of 2022 and have already completely turned the pharmaceutical industry upside down. When you go to costplusdrugs.com and you put in the name of one of the 2,500 medications we carry, we show you our cost. We show you our 15% markup. You can either pick it up at a local pharmacy, or for $10, we'll have the pharmacist review it and we'll mail it to you. As a result of that, we've seen the prices for pharmaceuticals drop. The ability to have a company that I co-founded change the entire healthcare industry, that's like winning an NBA championship, and that's where my focus is now. My name is Mark Cuban, and now you know everything there is to know about owning an NBA franchise.
That was pretty interesting, pretty cool to see, pretty cool to hear. Whenever you get an NBA owner to break down the ins and outs of being an owner is pretty cool, but specifically to your team, like our team, Dallas Mavericks, it's always cool to hear. I mean, why is this hat doing here? But yeah, no, I thought it was a pretty cool video. Learned something about Juwan Howard. I didn't know the man made that much money, but yeah, man, let me know what y'all think of Mark Cuban. Are y'all still fans of him? Are y'all still mad at him? Where does Mark Cuban stand in the lore of Dallas Mavericks? Fandom. Like, how do y'all see Mark Cuban? I always looked at him fondly until the last couple of years, the way he ran the team. But hey, he's trying to switch it up, man, and you can only be happy with the times he gave us, and he gave us a championship when we were dry as a Saharan desert without championship or victories around here in DFW, and Mark Cuban has stamped himself in Dallas for sure. He's done wonderful things just for the city in general. Anyway, man, it's been your boy TGK. Appreciate y'all watching. Consider liking, subscribing, becoming a member, all that good stuff. It's been your boy TGK. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. We out.